Hey YouTube, it's Adam, here in another episode of my workshop. I'd like to talk to you about something different today. Instead of talking about Christianity, I'm going to talk about marriage, as that is a very important part of my life as well. I am married to a wonderful one who I've been married to almost 10 years now, and I wanted to share a little bit of advice. Probably going to be doing a lot of these as I go along, but the first one that I wanted to talk to you about was a thing that happened the other day, marks the importance of communication. So I was on my phone in one room, my wife was in another room on her phone, and I texted her just a little kissy face, a winky, flirt thing on Messenger, trying to be cute. And immediately upon receiving the text, she asked me to do something. And I thought, well, she won't even, send me a little winky face back or something, or like, oh, that's cute, some kind of a response. And instead, she's asking me to help with the chore and just totally ignore what I sent. Like that's kind of rude. And so, I went and, put away the dishes or whatever it was that she asked me to do. But the whole time I was like, well, that was just, kind of rude of her that she wouldn't take a second to just respond. I'm not trying to do anything major here. I didn't want to have a big discussion with her and have a big, flirty romance session. Just, send me a little wink or something. So I stewed about it for, like a half hour. And my wife noticed, like, you seem a little off. Like, well, yeah, because, I sent you a little emoji and you totally ignored me. And I didn't think that that was, very nice. And she goes, what are you talking about? I never got a thing from you. Like, you didn't? I said, no, and showed me her phone. She didn't receive it. And I go, oh, well, the timing was like you didn't care at all because I was right after I sent it, you asked me to come help with the chore. And I was, upset. And she's like, oh, I never knew that. And you didn't say anything. Like, oh, okay. So the point of this is you need to have good communication. Now, instead of stewing about it for however long, I could have said, hey, did you get my text? Or something. Or I could have, made mention of it and given her a little pick on the cheek or something else to flirt to let her know, I was trying to be romantic. Because I think if you don't do anything, then, your relationship is kind of dull if you're not doing anything to still flirt with your wife, because that's important. And instead I just got mad about it and thought, oh, well, she's just being mean. And then she brought up a good point too. She was like, we've been together for a long time. I wouldn't purposefully be mean to you like that. I wouldn't ignore you on purpose. So, why didn't you just talk to me? And like, oh, well, now I'm a little convicted. And it's like, well, I just took the easier path, I think, which was to think things in my own head and then stew about them and not talk to you about them. So, my advice for this channel today is communicate with your spouse, first of all. If it is for anything, really, just make sure you're on the same page and make sure that you're in the same situation or idea. If you are wanting to have, fun together, or if you want to be more romantic, or if you need a little bit of time away, or, whatever it is that you are feeling, make sure you're communicating that well to your spouse. Don't just make thoughts up in your head and go, oh, well, that must be the case because this is how they acted or whatever. Like, I get that it happens, but go talk to your spouse. So that is my important message for today, or my piece of advice. So hopefully if you see this, you are encouraged and you go talk to your spouse about anything that you've been feeling. That's kind of the other part, is if there is something going on with your spouse and you've been upset, like, oh, I can't believe they did whatever, well, go talk to them about it. You are a partnership. You are not supposed to be at odds. The Bible teaches us that we were two and we became one, so it's important that we act as one. This was something that came up in a Bible study I had. We were talking about the oneness with our spouses, and something I brought up was that if you and your spouse are truly one, as you're supposed to be, and then you are having a big argument with them, you're kind of fighting with yourself. You wouldn't go back and forth with yourself and say, I'm, upset or whatever. You would think it through and deal with the problem. So if you have a spouse that you are having some kind of a disagreement with, go talk to them about it. I know some people get into relationships or when they're in their relationships when they're older, that they've been in a long time, they kind of just get set in their ways, and they, oh, well, my husband, my wife is just this way, and there's no talking to them, and they don't like whatever. Well, you need to have open, honest communication. And if just trying to talk to them doesn't get something, maybe you go get either a counselor, or I would say really just a good friend. If you have a pastor or somebody in your church who could work as like a mediator, maybe even your kids. I don't know. There's lots of people I think one can go to and just say, hey, the wife and I, the husband and I, are having a bit of a disagreement on whatever, and we want to hash this out so we're not just grumbly all the time, because who wants to live with an angry spouse all the time? So go to whoever it is if you need to get a third party, talk to them, and also pray about it a lot if it's a big issue. I know some couples, they just get way too into their side of things and just get very stubborn, and they are not willing to think it through, pray it through, or do anything. So I would recommend, if it's a big thing, buying a house, buying a car, one of you wants to get a new job in a new town and you'd have to move, whatever like that, definitely pray about it and then talk to them, and also be calm about whatever it is you're talking about. If you come up to the spouse and you're all angry with them and rude, well, they're probably not going to listen to you, are you? Because if they came to you that way, you're not going to appreciate that. So please communicate with your wife or your husband, or if it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever the relationship is. I recommend having good communication, especially if it is early on in the relationship. Get that established, that you talk things out, that you don't get in your own head and stew about them. Well, that's my advice for today. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.